Good morning. Good morning and welcome. Welcome to this live broadcast here from Great Central Railway here in Leicestershire. We are here with the team of the National Railway Museum, which of course is part of the Science Museum Group, and we're here today at the Great Central Railway to celebrate 50 years since the end of steam. Because of course today is the anniversary, the actual day, 11th of August 1968, when one of these locomotives out here behind us, this specific one here, locomotive 70013, Oliver Cromwell, was one of the locomotives to haul that very last mainline steam train right the way through and brought about the end of a complete era. Now, this locomotive is now part of the Science Museum Group collection, and we are absolutely delighted to be able to give rides behind it today. And today's broadcast, we're going to take you aboard that locomotive and of course talk to some of the customers and passengers around the engine who of course were there back then in 1968 as well. I'm out of breath, by the way. I've just had to run up the side of the engine for this hectic morning, and so that's kind of characterising, I think, our entire broadcast today. It's going to be slightly hectic. You're going to have some issues with the broadcast quality, I think, occasionally, and I don't mean just me, I mean the signal quality as well, because as we travel for the next few miles north from here in Leicester to Loughborough, you're going to see the signal maybe coming in and out a bit. We apologise in advance for that. We are broadcasting live in a world first from an express steam locomotive. Now, it's my absolute privilege and a pleasure to be here. I'm Tim Dunn. I'm a railway historian and occasional presenter, but here of course because I am a huge rail enthusiast too. I'm here on behalf of the National Railway Museum and the Science Museum Group to share some of the wonderful things we're going to see today. Now, thrillingly of course, we're going to talk to so many people and see many, many wonderful things, but I'm not actually here alone. It's also a great thrill for me to be here with my very dearest friends, Anthony Cools from the National Railway Museum. Now, Anthony, where are you? Over here.
Propping up this site.
This is again, the joys, one of the joys of live broadcast.
It is. I have another arm as well, you know.
Yes, of course, high-tech here, Railway Museum. And tell me, you and I have worked together for many years on and off and been friends for many years, but why are you here today and what do you do?
I'm the Senior Curator of Rail Transport and Technology, which means if it's got wheels on and it's part of the collection, then it's my responsibility, not just for the stuff that we've got at York and at Locomotion, but for the items that are on loan across the country. And of course we have a number of locos here at the Great Central Railway where we can show them off with our partners here, the 5305 LA, who are custodians of the engine, the Great Central Railway as a host railway, and there's no better place to see Cromwell doing the job it was built to do.
Absolutely. Well, again, thank you so much for coming here today. We're going to be talking to Anthony throughout this morning. We're going to be doing this broadcast from now to about 12:30 today. And the running order for today is going to be us having a little chat over here, going to hop on the engine for about 25 minutes for an express non-stop trip up through up to Loughborough as well. We're going to get off there and then meet some more people and some of the crew and talk to some passengers as well. But before we go up there, I am also delighted to be joined by Mike. Mike Goff, you are the Managing Director, of course.
That's correct, yes.
And of the Great Railway. Yeah, and thank you for letting us come here on your railway line. This
Good morning.
magnificent express
You're
railway line.
very welcome.
Tell us a little bit about the railway.
The Great Central Railway, the nation's only twin-track heritage railway, and arguably Europe's only twin-track heritage railway. 16-mile round trip through some beautiful Middle England, Charnwood, Leicester countryside, featuring 4 stations en route with a variety of periods covered right the way from north to south, and basically a very beautiful experience visited by 90,000 visitors per year.
It really is beautiful, isn't it? I mean, we're standing here in the glorious sunshine. I'm wearing far too many layers, and quite how long this white shirt lasts for on the footplate is anyone's guess. I've been told I was an idiot wearing it. I agree, I'm an idiot, and that's fine. But why are you holding this event here today?
Well, 50 years ago, to this very day, to the actual day,
11th of August, 68.
This tremendous beast here hauled out of Manchester Victoria, the part of the very last steam service 15 guinea special in 1968, 50 years ago. And we're very privileged indeed to have this locomotive permanently based at the Great Central Railway, thanks to our friends, the National Railway Museum and the 5305 Locomotive Association. So we're very excited about today to be able to reproduce the very same 15 guinea special hauled by Cromwell itself.
It's delightful. Now, this is a 15 guinea special, of
Yep.
course, but what else can people expect to see today and tomorrow?
Well, in addition to Cromwell, you can also expect to see an additional 3 locomotives in steam, a standard 2MT, a Scania a 7F, and a standard 5. In addition to that, there'll be 2 heritage diesels in transport as well. So we're hoping for a big turnout, and it should be very exciting. We've certainly got a very exciting timetable.
I saw, as we came down south earlier, a whole train of wind cutter wagons.
Absolutely.
These mineral wagons came surfing past. So it's not just steam or passenger stuff.
Now we look to boost the experience. You know, loads of variety, and that's the beauty of the Great Central. Is that, you know, we do have a huge rolling stock. We've got 249 pieces of rolling stock.
It's almost as many as we do.
I mean, it's a spectacular railway.
Yeah.
As you said, this is a double-track main line for much of its length. But why is it so special to bring the Great Central Railway and Cromwell together?
Right, well, I mean, there's a variety of reasons. Obviously, Cromwell has such a rich heritage and a rich history. And to be the last of its class to be in steam and the last one to be overhauled, you know, we're very fortunate to have it here at the Great Central, thanks to the National Railway Museum. But it's more than just about steam enthusiasm. This locomotive is a beast.
It is. It's a monster, isn't it?
And it appeals to all generations in terms of its power, its majesty, its theatre. My grandchildren love it. It's a locomotive that when it passes you, or when it passes the train that you're on at speed, makes the hairs on the back of your neck stand up.
Absolutely. I mean, if you're just looking at the engine now, you can
Yeah.
see it. You know, it is poised there right now. It's ready to go. You know, this is a powerful machine.
It's majestic,
It
isn't it?
is majestic. What was it built for, Oliver Cromwell?
When you say built for, sorry.
Well, it was built for British Railways. Anthony, do you want to pop over here?
I
Yeah.
can't if this thing isn't going to take me away and blow me down.
It'll be fine there.
It's going to blow over.
That's fine. Anthony, what was Cromwell built to do?
Well, Cromwell was built as an express passenger engine, but also able to haul fast freight, parcels trains, fitted freights. But its main duty, I mean, this engine started its life pulling expresses out to East Anglia, out to Liverpool Street. It's a 7p Pacific, so it's there working Anglo-Scottish expresses, goods, and they carried on. The engines were built, the Britannia Classes, they started in 51 and were constructed through to the mid-50s. There are 55 of them, and they were there as the cutting-edge express locos that BR was using from, well, yeah, right from the early 50s till the mid-60s. Of course, this was the very last one in service. It was the last engine overhauled at Crewe Works, 66, 67. So it was singled out as a celebrity.
It was the last steam locomotive to be actually overhauled by BR, wasn't it?
That's right, it really was. It was. Other than the Vale of Rydal tank engines, I have to point that out because somebody will say on Facebook, BR ran steam after 68. Of course they did on the narrow gauge 2-foot line, but this is the last loco, other than the Black Fives, to haul a steam passenger train on British railways. Of course, in 71, the mainline steam ban is broken by King George V. Bulmers and Peter Pryor go into partnership with BR. But this is the last time in 68 that a steam locomotive owned by British Rail hauled a train on the main line. It's a seismic moment. It's 5 years before I was born. But it's half a lifetime away for a load of people.
I think it's also fair to say that because it had been so recently restored, it made it the ideal candidate to go into the national
It was singled out as an engine for preservation. Its place in history was assured. Britannia had been set aside for preservation. They found that there were issues with Britannia. There were faults in the frames. Bits had been pinched. But by 67, this engine's carved itself a niche. Boxing Day 67, it hits the headlines because it's there. It's the last engine to pull a football special, and there's loads of beautiful photographs with blue and grey carriages, the whole lot. I can tell you're wanting to wrap the time up and get on the train.
You can tell us more, but we have a timetable to maintain. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we're now going to hop aboard the locomotive with you as well as our passengers on the footplate, and it gives me great pleasure to take you with us. This is a really, truly unique experience, and we have to thank the National Railway Museum and the Science Museum Group for letting us do this. So we're going to walk over there now with guidance. We're from our chaperones who are going to take us up onto the footplate, and we're going to speed at 25 miles an hour across the county. aboard this wonderful engine, reliving that wonderful express, the 15 guinea special. That's 15 guinea special from exactly 50 years ago today. Can we cross? Thank you very much. Right. We obviously got a timetable to maintain. These are bigger than me, these wheels. I mean, I'm almost 6 foot, but that's bigger than me. I think, Alan, you go up first? So I'll go after, I'll get the camera. Neil. Okay. So I'm going to have to hold this camera like I'm doing a selfie, not for the first time. Just want to thank the crew very much indeed for letting us come aboard the locomotive. We're here with Neil, the driver, behind us. Thank you very much, Neil. Hello, welcome to Facebook Live. We'll talk to you during the trip about important things to do. And of course, Robin, who is our superstar fireman as well. We've got the crack crew on today. I said crack crew. And you can see there the fire absolutely burning. It is swelteringly hot aboard this locomotive. Yeah, I'm going to stand here. It is genuinely really boiling. I'm saying wearing stupidly a waistcoat and this top. Again, this is a stupid decision. I am an idiot. But yes, welcome aboard the steam locomotive 70013. Looking there into the tender, you can see here all the coal has been stashed up at the front, ready for Robin to then have to hoik into the into the firebox there. We have a couple of minutes before we go. Waiting for the right of way. See here, Neil's got his hand there, waiting to go.
We can ask if we have our tickets.
I seem to have got on without a ticket. Oh, how convenient. We're also here on the footplate, we've got Alan here as well, who's our mentor, and we'll be talking to Alan once we get underway. Now, just so you know, we're going to be keeping you live on the footplate. There'll be a couple of points for a couple of minutes where we lose the signal up on the route, because of course we are in rural Leicestershire, and we're going to lose the signal. Don't go away, hold on, do come back, do wait for a couple of minutes, we'll come back with more stuff. We shouldn't lose the signal too much. There are 2 or 3 places we might just lose us. What's happening now, Alan?
He was setting the engine in forward gear, ready to start the journey of the train, because the engine was in reverse gear to go on the train. To demystify things a little bit, in very modern terminology, Neil is the locomotive manager. He drives the locomotive, operating the controls, and he supervises the entire operation. He's in charge of supervising the firemen.
Yep.
Again, in very modern terms, Robin would probably be described as a boiler manager. One of his jobs is a boiler management operative, and he's doing the very delicate task of managing the balancing of fire,
yep,
the water level in the gauges on the back there, the steam pressure.
And this is a pretty high-tech engine, right? What year was she built?
1951, it's very modern.
1951, the year of the Festival of Britain, of course. I mean, this is a modern locomotive.
Britannia was exhibited at the Festival of Britain, or was it one or the other? One of these classes was exhibited at the Festival of Britain as the most modern thing Britain had. Because going back to the loco, Robin's other important job is a second pair of eyes for the driver.
Okay.
Because the driver, as I'm sure you'll see in some of the footage, has got a very limited view down the loco, because there's about 40 feet of boiler in the way.
Well, it is sweltering hot now. We've got the firebox doors are open. Neil is just waiting for the right-of-way from the platform staff here at Leicester North Station.
And unlike the original, of course, When this locomotive worked its leg of the original 1 Tango 57 rail tour, it was something like 2 hours late in Carlisle. Our aim today is to be on time.
Let's hope so. I mean, we haven't got a very long journey to make. How many miles is it? About 8 miles?
Just under 8 miles. Right, and we're off.
Play right away. So we're now heading up the line. We've now left Leicester North. We may lose the signal sometime fairly soon, but we thought we'd just try and show a little bit of what's going inside the cab right now. So behind me, you can see we've got the coal behind us. You've got this absolutely voracious appetite of a fire here. As you can see, absolutely magical. We are as you can probably imagine, there's coal dust flying around us right now. It is so hot in this cab, and there is coal dust floating around. Alan's sitting here laughing at me because I'm choking in the corner. Alan, tell us what's going on here. What's on here?
Well, you've basically got here the lower gauge is the main steam boiler pressure, and that's the pressure in the boiler itself. Okay. In here, that's the level of water in the boiler. You can see the water bobbing up and down.
That's the water in the boiler right now.
Right now.
Okay, outside that.
We're going along now.
So you've got 2 gauge glasses.
That's correct.
Why are there 2?
It's a duplicated system for safety.
Okay.
Because that is the most critical of all the instruments on the locomotive. Because you know what happens when domestic kettle boils dry?
Yeah.
Can you scale that up into one of these? So that's why you always have 2 in case one fails.
It becomes a giant bomb, doesn't it, effectively, without those things?
Yeah.
What's that up on top of there?
That's probably Robin's lunch. Knowing Robin as well as I do, that'll be his Cornish pasta.
Okay, I think one day there's probably time for a whole cooking show to be done what you can cook on a steam locomotive, because so much can be done on a shovel, can't it?
The shovel cooking, the smoke cooking, various backhead cooking. There are some serious experts in the country on them.
Okay, so we're currently doing around about 25 miles an hour. Just want to to apologise there for the lack of connectivity. I say we are running through rural Leicestershire. Thank you for sticking with us, those of you who have, which is most of you it turns out. Thank you so much for bearing with us and our tech issues. Of course we are as well in this massive Faraday cage effectively. Entirely built of steel around us, it's stopping us from getting through. So behind me, you can see, whilst you've been away from us and we've been away from you, we've taken away some of that coal that's been used up. Robin's been firing the stuff into the locomotive. Just slowing down now, and I can be a little bit less hysterical, so we're doing it a bit quieter. We're just reaching the sidings here at Rothley, which is where one of the branch lines goes off to the side.
The branch goes off at Swiftland.
Oh yes. And we have the Mount Sorrel branch as well going up the side of the railway, and this is where so much of the railway is actually stores its stock. And you can see here so many things under restoration right now. Now the railway here has a great collection. We're now just going to cross over the tracks. We're going to be crossing now from the single track line we've been on to the double track main line and pulling into the station. Now here at Rothley we're going to go straight to the platform until we get to the main Rothley sidings. Just north of here. And there are crowds, as you can see, on the platform. It's lovely to see so many people, families, adults, kids, people of all ages. Because objects like this from the collection are so important to be seen out alive and in the communities that are important to them. Just exchange there the token, so we can now proceed. Now there are the signal dropouts. That should be, we think, the last time we lose the signal. So it should be. we hope. We're now with us the rest of the trip. Here are the Swiftland sidings. So the Mount Sorrel branch goes off up here, off to the east, which is a small community railway that runs up. There's a Royal Mail train there, one of the travelling post offices trains that used to, of course, crisscross Britain, delivering the mail and sorting the mail late at night, that of course inspired that great poem by W.H. Auden, The Night Mail. So we've now got the right of way right to the sidings on this now double track bit of main line. So we are now really about to start tearing north. Again, we have to really thank the British Railway and the National Railway Museum and the Science Museum group for this wonderful opportunity to let everyone come aboard this locomotive with us today. If you look behind us, we're just... What's happening here, Alan?
putting water on the coal to stop the dust, try and restrict the amount of dust that's flying. You can never stop it, but you can restrict it.
And now if you look just here, I'll get my head back inside again. Here's the future of rail. Again, thank you very much for bearing with us. We're now herring still north to Loughborough. We're now back with Sickle. We know now if you've got any questions you'd like to ask of the crew, then please do comment in the box below. We're happy to answer any questions with the crew throughout the rest of the trip. We're now herring along, so please do ask any questions for Alan to answer about how an engine works and what we're doing today. Now, if you just spin around, you'll see the people down the train there, all looking out the window. This is something really quite special. It's a privilege to be part of it. Okay, Barry, right. Alan. Yes, hello. We'd like just to talk to people again about what some of these dials actually do up on this engine. So can you talk through these dials again? What's this one here?
The large dial there, that's the boiler pressure on the locomotive. So it's currently 160 pounds per square inch. There's Robin just ducks underneath us. And the two columns either side there, the water level in the boiler. You can see is it's a very critical control on locomotive control indicator on the locomotive to let you know exactly how much water is in the boiler. The theory is it should never go below the bottom of the glass and it should never go above the top.
Okay, and we're back again. Just slowing down just for a moment. We're either slowing down, we've caught up the train ahead, I think. As you can see there, the crew, you've got Neil leaning out the window. I'm talking into a gerbil. This is a very strange thing to talk into. So we're just slowing down now. Why are we slowing down?
I suspect we've caught the train in front up.
Brilliant.
This is a bit of an occupational hazard.
This is what happens when you are on this spectacular express locomotive. See now, if you look down there, you can see that Robin is firing away.
How much coal?
How much coal do we actually get through, Alan, in a trip like today?
We've got a red flag. It's a trip like today we use between 1/4 and 1/2 ton per trip.
Wow. So how many shovels is that?
Never counted. It's a lot.
It's a lot of shovels.
A lot of shovels.
I mean, it is back-breaking work, right?
It can be, yes.
I mean, I think we should probably talk as well about, when we stopped using steam locomotives, there were fewer people needed to maintain them, right, and keep them going.
Basically, yes, it was a sea change on the railway and the railway network, because a steam engine always requires 2 people on. The availability of a steam locomotive was roughly 8 hours per day, and their replacements in the diesel and electrics have an availability of between 16, 20 and 23 hours a day.
Wow.
So the theory was you need half as many locomotives. Maintenance on a diesel locomotive is far less labour intensive, so you need less people to maintain them. And of course the traffic on the railways was dropping as the demographics changed, as road haulage took over as the main method of moving freight around the country. There was a really big change in the mid-1960s between partial loads on railways. The railways moved to only doing full loads.
Look out the window. Sorry, let's look out the window now, just for a minute. Sorry, there's no one signal. Sorry, a hamster got in the way there. we've just come to a halt here outside. This is Quorn Station.
Quorn Station, yeah.
Quorn Woodhouse. Yeah. And of course we have come to a stop on this express main line because we have caught up the train in ahead.
Basically, the signalman, for whatever reason, it'll be for a safety of the line message, requires to speak to the driver. So the signalman brings the train to a stand to speak directly to the driver. Oh,
so you can see here, look, if you turn around, you can see the driver talking to the signalman. Yeah, okay.
Door on the catch.
And Chris, do we know why it was called Oliver Cromwell? Why was Cromwell chosen as a name?
If I remember right at the back of my brains, the locomotives of this class,
the Britannia Class.
The Britannia Class. The class leader was named Britannia. I believe that was named because of the competition amongst the employees of British Railways in 1951. Because they took the loco, they had to rename another loco to transfer the name. And then from Britannia, they went. The first few they were named after iconic people in history.
Right.
So there was a William Shakespeare.
British icons, basically.
Yes, there was Iron Duke after the Duke of Marlborough. So Oliver Cromwell, British icon.
Was there Wellington as well?
No, I don't think it was a Wellington. Okay. No, I think he wasn't held in that esteem. They tend to be more historic than that.
Okay.
And the first, I think, I'm not an expert on the names. They went up to about the first 18 and 20 were named after icons.
Right.
Then they shifted to stars and planets. The eastern ones were named after the western ones were named after stars and things. And they used all sorts of names in the end.
So just surfing through now Quorn Woodhouse Station. We're not stopping to pick anyone up or set anyone down. Actually, we are stopping to set people down. Unexpectedly so, and that's all right.
Stop to check a door on the train.
Right. Yep. Mind your back. Actually, as we're stopped. Super. Right. Okay. So now we've stopped in a relatively quiet point of the trip, unexpectedly so. Let's go back to some of those dials, shall we, as well? So we've talked up here, we've got the 2 gauge glasses for water, right?
Yeah. So we need to go over to the driver's side, really.
On the driver's side, go ahead.
So
thank you very much.
This is probably a bit more people are interested in than what the fireman does. I mean, a lot of what the fireman does is, it's probably the most highly skilled job, but also it's probably the most mysterious job, because trying to teach it to the younger generation is very hard, because there's no experience to download on how to do it. You have to learn to do it. But on the driver's side, this is the bit everybody tends to be more interested in. The controls on the very simple. Effectively, you have this large lever here, is called the regulator, which is actually the steam valve that allows steam from the boiler into the cylinders. You have here the reversing gear, which controls the direction of the locomotive, and it controls the direction and effectively the efficiency of the locomotive, because you can vary the amount of time for which you admit steam to the cylinders. And moving over here, you have here, this is the train brake valve.
Oh, right.
That applies the brake on every vehicle in the train. It's a fail-safe system, so if anything goes wrong with the train, the brake comes on. Being a heritage traction, we use vacuum, and the gauge for that isn't there. You can see it's 21 inches of mercury. So basically there's a long pipe through the train, we just suck all the air out of it.
When that is then broken,
the air goes in.
Because of course it's a vacuum, all the brakes then clamp straight on, and it brings the train to an almost immediate halt.
So if any hole appears in the pipe, the train stops. That's why it's called fail-safe.
Brilliant.
But modern systems are using air on the same principle. The other thing control we have, this is the locomotive brake, which the locomotive has an independent brake. For when it's in use on its own, and that's currently applied to hold the train still in the station. And the other instrument we have, the important one, we have the speedometer to show the driver how fast he's going.
And we've been in a pretty consistent 20 miles an hour.
Between 20 and 25 miles per hour. The speed limit on this railway is 25 miles per hour.
Which means you have a closing speed. I can't see this far. Right, okay, so...
Loco back into forward gear.
Yeah.
waiting for the signal to be cleared.
Yeah, we've got the signal when they're ready.
We now have a clear complete aspect on the signal.
It's alright, the guys just check the signal.
Just checking the guard now. That was the whistle going on the station platform.
Right, driver.
Just the whistle out of the control. That's the best noise on the engine. You can just see in the distance advancing a diesel train. Of course, 1968 was when diesels took over, and this, as I said earlier, this is the future of rail travel, and it's coming down the tracks towards us now in the other direction. So we're currently doing about 25 miles an hour. The diesel's doing 25 miles an hour. It's a closing speed of around 20 miles an hour. Closing speed there, of course, about 40 miles an hour. We're basically live on the main line right now. This is where old is meeting new. The past is meeting the future. It looks like a class 25 to me, I think. Yeah, it's class 25. Trundling towards us with, it looks like a goods train. Yeah, here it goes. It's pulling a goods train of mineral wagons. Here we go. That was a lovely thing to see. So the future running past us just there. And you can probably see alongside the line side now a lot of people in their high-vis jackets, photographers. Lovely. You can see a lot of photographers taking photographs of this train today. This really is a very special place to be. Thank you so much for joining us and being part of this today. It's an absolute delight to share it with you. We're a couple of miles away yet from Loughborough. When we get there, we're going to be talking again to Mike Goff, of the Managing Director of Great Central, and of course Anthony Cools, the Senior Curator of Rail Vehicles and Technology at the NRM, about this locomotive and the rest of the Science Museum Group collection, particularly those around rail travel. It'll be an absolute treat, I tell you. We're just slowing now. There's our devoted cameraman, Will Stanley, who is his face is now covered in soots and smut. I am now also covered with my formerly white shirt. You can really see the difference in steam locomotion. Of course, we might forget now, with the romance of steam, just what it was like. You know, they were grimy, big things. They often made passengers' lives quite difficult at big stations, where these things would come in and cover people in soot and smoke. Of course, they are still majestic, wonderful things. The future is coming upon us. Just coming around the corner is a diesel multiple unit. One of those things that supplanted steam on so many rural and indeed urban branch lines.
The diesel we see up ahead, there's multiple units. This was a thing that was built, and it indeed saved many branch lines. Low cost to operate, low cost to run, low cost to maintain. This is a Metro Camel, I think, Class 101 DMU in early British Railways green livery with whiskers in the front. Looking rather lovely. It's going alongside us, so we'll just manoeuvring for a shunting manoeuvre, overtaking it there. So kind of we're overtaking actually this little branch line train on the main line.
Just going inside.
Of course, that's bound for Carlisle, which of course is where this train, the 1T57 train, was actually bound for that day. So it's a bit like we're now, although we are coming to Loughborough now, it does feel a little bit like we're on that special train 50 years ago, coming up, having done that magnificent run up to Carlisle. Of course, this is the Great Central Railway, which of course was Britain's last major main line, built before HS1 back at the end of the last century. This was of course Edward Watkins' great project to try and connect the Midlands and the North with the continent, and this is a preserved section of it. Another part of the line still exists today, further north, for the Great Central Railway North, which is being joined up to this railway via a great big link, more about that later. And also of course this line then ran straight down south to Aylesbury and then joined up to Marylebone Station as it does today. Just slowing down as we pull into Loughborough now. You can see alongside us a Class 20, which is a very early British locomotive for the diesel. This is D8098. Just pulling alongside that now. Again, this really was the early days of diesels. We're now pulling alongside. So just pulling in now.
He had a pair of gloves in and he's walking off. Oh, it's warm. If you want to,
again here a large brush loco, which looks like a Class 31. And just up ahead as well, a couple of other lovely heritage diesels, which I know some of the steam purists might not want to see, but this of course was the future. This is what took over. This is what took over from Cromwell. Of course, I was looking at the wrong side. We have actually arrived at Loughborough. That shows what I know. And I call myself a railway enthusiast, a railway historian. Anyway, we are now here at the end of our journey. Neil's now run off, rather than being interviewed by us.
We're still just attending to his duties.
Just attending to his duties. Alan, that was quite a run. That was rather splendid, wasn't it?
It was certainly an experience. But the thing with the Great Central Railway, it is a completely unique experience,
yes.
Being the only preserved heritage railway in the country where you can see another train pass you,
Yes.
which was ably demonstrated on our journey back.
Yeah, absolutely. And we passed one locomotive as we came down. Two diesel locomotives we saw.
Yep.
One got cut out because of the bad signal further down the line. But what we're going to do is next we're going to talk again to Richard Goff. Mike Goff, the MD of the Great Central Railway, and then we're going to talk to Anthony Cools as well from the NRM, just about what it meant in 1968, and also some of the passengers up on board, some of whom were around in '68, and who'd like to tell us about what the end of steam meant for them. So somehow we're going to try and get off. Now, just look out here. This is the kind of the crowd that steam locomotives bring. So we're going to go out here and have a little look, looking back at the crowds here on the railway. Quite spectacular. And we're running over pictures, so I'm back in. So what's the next move?
You're going to have to pick the train up, aren't you?
Yeah.
The best thing we need to do now is this loco is now going to pick up its train for its next working.
Okay.
The best thing we need to do now is to get on the ground before it goes.
Okay, so we can get off. Right.
We're going to just debunk and leave you to it.
Thank you very much, chap.
No problem. No worries. So you don't know we need to get the coal.
Right. Just hold the bottom bit. Well, that was quite a trip. As I think you all enjoyed that. Will's getting off, he's our cameraman and producer. Right, Will, thank you very much. Let's go and find Mr. Cools. There he is. He's loitering. There's Mr. Cools.
Done.
Hello.
All right, have fun. Did you like that?
No.
Oh,
No, I had
I've
a
got to do it
horrible,
then. I'll do it for you next time.
I had a horrible time. That was delightful. Right, thank you for joining us. So, on the footplate, Alan. Thank you so much. That was absolutely delightful. More than welcome. And Anthony, you're here now. This, of course, is a rerun of the 15 guinea special so many years ago, 50 years ago, exactly this day. What did the 15 guinea special really mean for the railways?
Well, the 15 guinea special brought down the curtain on well over a century of the steam locomotive. The steam locomotive not just as something for enthusiasts as us to enjoy today, but as something that drove the nation, provided power for industry, trains, ships, road locomotives, power stations, factories, mills.
It was King Coal.
It was King Coal, yeah. And this hot fog drove the country. And of course, steam didn't actually finish on the railways till well into the 80s. This was the end of steam on British railways. But steam carried on with the National Coal Board. London Transport ran steam locos
Till
under
71?
the streets till 71.
71, yeah.
But in terms of the national psyche, this was the end of steam in the public eye. On the 12th of August, the Monday morning, there were no more steam locomotives to be seen in operation on
the
British
main line.
Rail.
Yeah,
No, that
on the
was
main
it.
line.
Done, absolutely done. Final curtain, 15 guinea special. There'd been charters the previous weekend. The last timetabled BR steam train was the 3rd of August with a couple of locals around in the Preston area, but this was the last time that you would see a BR-owned express steam locomotive doing the job that it was built for.
You can see now just the crowds it brings together.
Yeah.
You have got other things that do this, that bring in the crowds in the Science Museum Group collection, haven't you, as well?
Yes, yeah, of course. I mean, we've got Tim Peake Sawyer's capsule, which is doing its national tour at the moment, drawing loads of people back to the Railway Museum. Flying Scotsman's just visited Locomotion at Shildon, brought in 19,000 people over the couple of weeks it was there. You know, the power of an iconic object to draw people, whether it's an aircraft or a boat, a ship, a vessel, a bus or a steam loco, is absolutely incredible. Look at these guys here, they're enjoying this piece of national heritage.
I mean, there are people now I can see, men, women, children, streaming down the tracks. You probably can't see it entirely from this camera view, but down here there are several hundred people here today, also back behind us up on the platforms, who all come to enjoy it. Again, we call it an object, but to some of these people it isn't just an object. This is a living, breathing piece of equipment. It is a creature, right?
Yeah. It's been said that the steam loco is one of the few things that was originally created solely for good. It's not been created to drop bombs on anybody. It's not been created to blow the men up. Oh look, just beyond that is the Class 33 diesel. That's one of ours as well.
I think one's in your one, where the other one is. The ones that carries are replicas.
Right.
But that is actually genuine.
So it does carry.
So I got carried away there seeing the Class 33. It's part of the national collection just the same.
So the Class 33 diesel down there,
Yes.
it's part of the national collection.
It is, yeah. We'd say we've got a number of objects, that sounds awful, but a number of
There are
locomotives.
objects, but they're also
We've got a
beautiful
number of
things.
locos on loan here. We've got Cromwell, which you've seen today, Class 33 diesel, Sir Lamiel, the 460 Southern Region, and also the 04 Robinson Goods engine 280, which was built for the Great Central Railway in the early 1920s, before grouping, and an absolute icon, one of two Great Central locos left, so it's really great to have it on the line where it would have worked initially.
Very splendid indeed. Now, of course, you can see Cromwell throughout this weekend. In fact,
Yeah.
we're going to be coming back live with Cromwell at 2 today. So we'll be actually in the carriage talking to more people a bit later on. But we'll be letting the announcements go on. Don't get on that train.
Have you noticed that, by the way? The end board. I think it's lovely.
Lovely. So just up here.
Platform number 2, the 12:30 steamboat service calling Cornwall House, Ropley and Leicester North.
So, and you just
I would like to remind
can we talk about this?
Yeah, well, I say this illustrates very much what I was saying a couple of minutes ago about the 15 guinea special, the events of the 11th of August, bringing down that curtain on the steam loco. Rocket, in 1829, had all the technical bits and pieces, the multi-tubular boiler, the blast pipe, the cylinders directly connected via rods to the wheels. That's setting the DNA for the steam locomotive until 1960, when Evening Star comes out. So George Stephenson would probably have scratched his head slightly looking at Cromwell, but within a few minutes he'd have known exactly what it did and how to work it.
Something entirely different.
And people can see Rocket today.
Of course, yeah. We're saying Rocket is part of our collection. It's currently on display at the Discovery Museum in Newcastle, where it's drawing the crowds. September, it's going to go to the Museum of Science and Industry in Manchester. It's first time in Manchester since it left Liverpool Manchester Railway ownership.
Magic.
It's been displayed at Liverpool, 1979, but this is the first time it's been back to Manchester. So it's actually, you think about it, it's fabulous. You know, the National Collection has these iconic machines. Cromwell at one end of the spectrum, Rocket where it all, not actually where it all begins, but where the seismic shift in steam locomotive development takes off.
So how is Railway Museum celebrating this great anniversary of steam apart from today?
Apart from today, you can go to York today, tomorrow, and we're showing films of the 15 guinea special in our station hall. We've got a blog that's just gone up, written by one of my colleagues, Thomas, who's it's really good summary of not just the day, but what happened, why it happened, you know, and what it meant and what it led to, because 68 isn't just the end of steam on British railways, it's the beginning, well, not the beginning, but it's where the preservation world, the heritage railway and the concept of the National Railway Museum begins to take off. So August 68, this lot finishes. A couple of months beforehand, in June 68, the Worth Valley Railway coming around out Keighley starts.
And you can read about that blog if you go to railwaymuseum.org.uk and find the blog on there. You can find that really very lovely blog on there. Lots of images on there from stuff from the 50 guinea special of the day. So there's really lovely content on there as well. But where can you see Cromwell next? Apart from this afternoon, we're going to do our little trip at 25 and talk about the future of railway preservation and what preservation means and Heritage Day in Britain. But where else can you see Cromwell?
Well, Cromwell is obviously based here, but as part of the National Collection, it's able to be lent to other railways around the country. It's going into the North Norfolk, I believe, fairly soon. Don't ask me the exact date, because I can't quite remember. I don't know. I told you, don't ask me that. But September the 22nd, 23rd, we've got it at Locomotion, our museum at Shildon in County Durham, for the annual Steam Gala. And it'll be really nice to have it there, because not only will it be on display, the cab will be open for the public to visit, and you know, you can actually get up, do what you've done, but without the facility of locomotion.
Well, absolutely. Well, I think, you know, I was going to try and talk to Mike again, but I think, you know, he's going to involve the operations, and most of the passengers are going up for the next journey.
Or a cup of tea.
And a cup of tea, which is what we're going to do next. But it just really remains, I think, for me, just to thank everybody, really, for letting us do this, and thank you for joining us on this, you know, remarkable anniversary, 50 years since the end of steam, for End of Steam Live, as we're calling it. You can join us again at 2 today, where we're going to be coming on another trip back up the line, and we're going to talk again to some of the team here behind the event and some of the team from Steam Railway magazine as well. But again, thank you so much for joining us on this delightful day. Thank you, Science Museum Group, thank you, Railway Museum, and thank you everyone for being part of it.